All right, so I'm now looking at 7.5 worksheet 2. I had a request already for number 16. All right, so for number 16, the first thing I notice is that I have two things on the left-hand side. And before we can use inverse operations with exponents, we need to isolate one of these by itself. So what I would do first is I would move this over to the other side by adding 3x. And 0 plus 3x will just get me 3x. At that point then I would use my reciprocal power. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. So I'm going to raise both sides to the 2 over 1 power. Now when you do this, obviously these cancel out, just leaving me with the 5x plus 4. Over here, a lot of you will forget to distribute this. We need to do 3 squared, which is 9, and x squared, which is x squared. So a lot of you will have just 3x squared instead of 9x squared right there. Now this is a quadratic. The way that we learned to solve quadratics were one of 5 ways: factoring, square rooting, graphing calculator, completing the square, and quadratic formula. Easiest, of course, is to factor. So in order to factor, we need to get this set equal to 0. So I chose, because I don't like to have a negative in front of the x squared, I like to have this being a positive, I chose to subtract 5x and subtract 4 on both sides. Okay, which left me with this. And then this is a guess and check factoring. So these are the ones that many of you hate, but unfortunately you're going to have to do them. Set up your 2 parentheses, and then it's either 3x and 3x or 9x and 1x until you figure out which combination will get you to FOIL back. I'm going to start with 9 and 1. Then my factors of 4 go in the last spot, which would be either 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. Well, I'm thinking 9 minus 4 is 5, so let's see if that will work. So let's put a minus 1 here and a plus 4 here. So we'll check 9x squared, good, minus 9x plus 4x is negative 5x. 4 times a negative 1 is a negative 4, so that is factored correctly. All right, we then need to set each of those equal to 0 using our zero product property. So we're going to set this one equal to 0, and we're going to set this one equal to 0. That first one requires 2 steps. We need to subtract 4 and divide by 9, which will get me negative 4/9. The other one, we just need to add 1 to both sides. Now to do the check, which you can see one of mine didn't check, I'll show it because you will need to know how to check these on the mini quiz that you're going to take. So again, we'll take our value, negative 4/9, and we're going to store it, STO, for x. You also can do this by hand. So if you don't have your graphing calculator with you, you can just take this number and plug it in for x, and you just have to do order of operations by hand. You also could use Desmos, which is a graphing calculator online, if you need to. Then we'll just type in 5x plus 4, close my parentheses, to the 3/2 power, and then minus 3x. Always type the original in, not like the second line. Type the original line in. We should get 0, and we don't. So that's why this one got excluded. And then testing for 1 stored in for x. Again, the shortcut is just to press second enter 2 times, which will recall what I typed the time before, and oh, like that didn't work. Didn't get a 0 because I typed the wrong thing in. This should be the 1/2 power. I just couldn't read my writing. So let's try that again. And go back and change this to 3/2 to 1/2. There we go. All right, so that one checks. Let me go back and double check that negative 4/9 again. Negative 4 divided by 9. Store for x. Still, it does not equal 0, so that's why I excluded that one. That's called an extraneous solution. So x equals 1 is the only answer that we should keep as our final.